This is your fourth stimulus check update and daily news update. Biden and the Democrats demanding more stimulus, how a debt ceiling default could cost millions of jobs and wipe out trillions of dollars in wealth. And for a finale, $250 million in stimulus recently announced by Vice President Kamala Harris, plus all of the extra stimulus that they're planning to put into this $3.5 trillion. Hot and fresh stimulus coming to you straight at you 24/7. This is my promise to you guys, our community, the latest, the most accurate updates on your stimulus check update, your fourth stimulus check update, the $3.5 trillion stimulus for. Now, if that sounds like you, definitely hit the subscribe button and hit that notification bell. That way you're notified about all of my amazing YouTube videos and whenever I release any kind of new content for our YouTube community. And I always want to thank you guys for smashing that like button and supporting the channel. I cannot thank you guys enough. Let's go and jump into the content. This is crazy, guys. Look what Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez pointed out in the House recently.
The U.S. has long supported abusive regimes in South America and the Middle East to serve our own interests. Yet we seem somehow shocked and confused when refugees from these regions show up at our border seeking asylum from the inhumane conditions that we help create in their homelands. It is now beyond time for us to rectify these wrongs.
Now, here's the winning quote from the whole thing. Despite all of the fear about government spending, our defense budget is exempt from this. Instead, we have a magical thinking that defense spending has no cost. The erosion of our social systems here is a threat. This is happening because of the explosion in defense spending. It kind of makes you think, right? What's up with the skyrocketing defense budget when we can't even commit to paid medical leave, child tax credits, Medicare expansion, earned income tax credits, and even a freaking fourth stimulus check? Okay, I'm not going to touch that one anymore, but I think you guys know where I'm going with this. Just follow the money, guys. Drop me a quick comment down below if you guys are picking up what I'm putting down for you guys. Also, drop me a comment too if you want me to explain a little bit more. All right, so AOC, she makes a very good point that we've heard from President Biden as well. We're fighting a totally new war now.
Instead of continuing to fight the wars of the past, we are fixing our eyes on devoting our resources to the challenges that hold the keys to our collective, addressing the climate crisis, managing the shifts in global power dynamics, shaping the roles of the world on vital issues like trade, cyber, and emerging technologies, and facing the threat as it stands today.
It's definitely about time that we start fighting for our own people, right, guys? And by that, I mean, let's get some major stimulus done already. Like Biden said, this is our moment to deal working people back into the economy.
How is it possible for millionaires and billionaires that can pay a lower rate of tax than teachers, firefighters, and law enforcement officers? Here's the simple truth. For a long time, this economy has worked great for those at the very top. Ordinary, hardworking Americans, the people who built this country, have been basically cut out of the deal. And I've said this from the time I announced I was going to run. I believe this is a moment of potentially great change. This is our moment to deal working people back into the economy. This is our moment to prove that their government works for them, not just for the big corporations and those at the very top.
Definitely a big help here would be clearing the debt ceiling increase. Now, I bet you guys have heard about this a lot lately, but still, it's good to understand everything that we need to know about the debt ceiling. All right, so first off, the debt ceiling is a restriction that Congress puts on the federal government that essentially relates to how it can spend money and how much money it can borrow to be able to pay off its bills. They put it in there because back in 1917, lawmakers saw it as a way to kind of rein in federal agencies that were basically ignoring Congress's constitutional power to designate how much money the government can spend. Since then, it's basically this chore that they have to do every single year. Now, in the past decade, however, lawmakers from both sides have been using it as essentially a bargaining chip to get what they want from the other side. So case in point, you've got the Republicans currently led by the Senate Minority Leader, Mitch McConnell. They're staying put and saying that they're not going to do anything about the debt ceiling this time around.
If the Democrats put in a debt limit increase in the CR at the end of the month, would Republicans defeat that CR?
Let me be crystal clear about this. Republicans are united in opposition to raising the debt ceiling, not because it doesn't need to be done. So I want to make sure everybody clearly understands this. The last time the debt ceiling was raised, it was done on a bipartisan basis in conjunction with an overall caps agreement, and that debt ceiling increase covers basically what we did last year. This year is unique, and as you all know, I've been here a while. I've never seen such an effort to expand the reach of the federal government like we've been confronted with this year through not just one reconciliation process, but apparently yet another. So if they want to do all of this on a partisan basis, they have the ability and the responsibility to ensure that the federal government not default, and they will have to take care of that.
What Mitch McConnell is saying here is that the Democratic majority alone are responsible for safeguarding the government's creditworthiness and preventing a potential economic calamity. But that was never the rule in the first place. In fact, almost every time the debt ceiling has been lifted, it has been done in a bipartisan fashion under the regular Senate order that requires at least 60 votes to end debate on the legislation. Come on, Mitch. I think you just want to keep the Republicans' hands clean of all this new spending so you'll be all clear of the 2022 midterm. That's just my take. Now, you guys know I'm not Democratic, I'm not Republican. I'm just calling it as I see it. And that's the way I'm seeing this one right here. And here's a real kicker here. A big part of the debt ceiling is thanks to Republican leadership, aka former President Trump. The national debt has risen by almost $7.8 trillion during Trump's time in office. That's nearly twice as much as what Americans owe on student loans, car loans, credit cards, and every other type of debt other than mortgages combined. Now, if you split that among the people in our country, that's about $23,500 in new federal debt that each of you, your children, and your family would have to pay off. Pretty crazy, isn't it? And it gets worse. If this default happens, it would likely cost millions of jobs, wipe out trillions of dollars in wealth from the American people. And according to this report, this could quickly turn into an economic downturn very similar to the fall in 2008. The nation could even lose nearly 6 million jobs. Well, we definitely do not want anything like that happening in our YouTube community. And so that's why we came up with our channel exclusive newsletter covering the top 20 proof ways to earn extra income today, a lot of which you can actually make money from home. So consider this your golden ticket to avoid the uncertainties of our current economy, like millions being laid off, entire households collapsing, and children being left to starve. Learn about the new normal, and most importantly, how you can reinvent yourselves financially, even at this stage in the game. We cover all this and more in our exciting newsletter. I went ahead and dropped the link in the pinned comment down below, as well as in the description of this video. Make sure to get your free copy today. More insider information coming up for you guys in just a little bit. Vice President Kamala Harris's $250 million stimulus, plus what she has to say about recurring stimulus checks. We also have some winning last-minute stimulus entries into the $3.5 trillion stimulus package. That's right, you guys. We may be seeing extended unemployment and a brand new eviction moratorium ban pretty soon.
But that doesn't mean investors think the market's going down over the next year. In fact, their optimism stems from the majority of respondents who said the S&P 500 will go up more than 5% over the next 12 months. Only 5% said the S&P 500 would fall. The rest said it would be little change. So little risk appetite, but not expecting much in the way of downside risk. So how exactly are investors playing that? Well, when asked where they're increasing exposure, about a quarter said equities, but the majority, about 53%, marked some kind of alternative like private equity, hedge funds, or real estate. Only 11% wanted to increase exposure to fixed income. As for sectors, investors said financials, technology, and energy are poised to outperform, while utilities are likely to be the big underperformer over the next 12 months, guys.
So definitely subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on that one. All right, so enough waiting around. Let's get into the stimulus meat of the day. First off, we got Vice President Kamala Harris. She recently announced a $250 million stimulus commitment to a new global health fund. Now, as she pointed out, the work to end this and prepare for the next is a strategic imperative. It is essential for our security and our shared prosperity, and it will save countless lives. Now, this is all part of the White House's commitment to helping out the world with stimulus. But wait, where's our stimulus, right? Well, back when she was still a senator, Vice President Kamala Harris, or Senator Kamala Harris at the time, she did say that we needed $2,000 monthly stimulus checks. Her exact words were, together with Bernie Sanders and Ed Markey, I'm proposing that we have not just that one check of $1,200. Through the course of the crisis, we need to give people $2,000 a month as recurring payments to help them and sustain them through these months of crisis. So at the end of it, they can get back up on their feet instead of falling deep, deep, deep into the crevices of this crisis. And it does not make sense, to your point, when we have Republicans in Congress who are standing in the way of supporting working people who have recently lost their jobs and have every intention of working when we can get through this crisis, and they need help from their government. And their bill is pretty interesting because aside from these monthly stimulus checks going forward, it also says legislation would be retroactive to March 2020. Whoa, that is a major stimulus right there. Could the $250 million be a sign for some local stimulus for us? Let's keep a close eye on that one. There are also some other proposals our lawmakers are hoping to pass with this upcoming $3.5 trillion stimulus package. The latest one is from Senator Elizabeth Warren and Representative Cori Bush. They're calling it the Keep Renters Safe Act. Cori Bush's Twitter said, "I know the pain of coming home to an eviction notice on the door. I refuse to sit by and let millions face eviction after the right-wing Supreme Court blocked the moratorium. At E. Warren and I are introducing the Keep Renters Safe Act to reinstate eviction moratorium. The bill will give the Department of Health and Human Services, the HHS, the unilateral power to impose a federal eviction moratorium in the interest of public health." Now, Bush said, "An eviction moratorium is the difference between life and death for us all. So today we are continuing our historic shift in the way that we conduct the people's business in Washington, D.C. Warren also added her own words. "We are in a crisis. It's not over. Families, millions of people across the country are worried about getting sick. They're worried about your next paycheck. They're worried about trying to catch up financially for weeks or months without a paycheck." This bill is on top of the one that she proposed for emergency rental assistance. Now, through this, you would be able to apply for emergency rental assistance at public spaces, such as schools, libraries, and transit systems. Now, in her words, "As someone who has been evicted and unhoused, I know the trauma that these families are facing. The crisis demands compassionate solutions, and I urge my colleagues to consider the humanity of our neighborhoods who could soon find themselves without a home unless drastic action is taken." And this is some serious stimulus, guys. 15 months of rent and utilities. Most programs cover up to $25,000. Definitely a big help for people. You can find their programs near you through the NLIHC ERA website. Just type it up. Just go to Google, type in NLIHC ERA, and it should come up more than likely the first or second link at the top. More stimulus news. AOC and Bush teamed up to spearhead a letter to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer about unemployment. Bush, AOC, and 11 other lawmakers have just said that they wrote the message to express the urgency of including unemployment insurance reforms in the Build Back Better Act to protect millions of unemployed workers across the country. Specifically, they want Congress to set a floor for unemployment insurance duration that states must follow broadly, including part-time workers, ban exclusions based on past wages, and require alternative base periods. Now, I love the point that AOC makes on her Twitter here. She says, "You can't force people to work a job that doesn't pay enough to live. This isn't hard. What's the point in working a $7.25 or even $15 an hour job if the childcare needed costs almost as much as one's paycheck? Letting PUA expire was based on fantasy, not data. We must restore it." Last week, AOC introduced the Extended Unemployment Assistance Act of 2021, which would extend benefits through February 1st, 2022, and would pay out benefits retroactive to their September expiration. It looks like she's hoping to fold this into the $3.5 trillion stimulus package. She said, "We can't let unemployment assistance lapse when we're still recovering from the cost effects. So we're just gonna have to stick to this until it pushes through, guys." I hope you guys stay with me as we keep an eye on all of this and all of our favorite stimulus programs through these coming updates. I really feel like we're at a tipping point here. It should be just a matter of days until we actually hit the stimulus home run that we've been waiting for so long. You guys with me on that? Then share this video with your friends and your loved ones so that they can also be in the know too. The more people who are calling for stimulus, the better our lawmakers can hear us. Until then, we have our foot on the stimulus gas pedal so you don't miss out on one single thing. This was your 4th stimulus check update, your daily news update. President Biden and Democrats demanding more stimulus, and how a debt ceiling default could actually cost millions of jobs and actually wipe out trillions of dollars in wealth in your 401ks, your IRAs, just a big mess. And for our finale, we also covered the $250 million in stimulus that was announced by Vice President Kamala Harris, plus all of the extra stimulus that they're planning to put into the $3.5 trillion package, like unemployment extensions, a brand new eviction moratorium. Thank you for you guys for always staying with me.